What's happening, everybody? Trey here, joined by my dad, Sean, and today reactions to the classics. We are up to 1996 and our top 5 albums by year draft. Been a fun journey as we're cruising through the 90s right here. You can check out our back catalog of drafts all the way going back to 1965. We'll be sure to link that at the end here.
Yes. And if you haven't been with us before, it's a snake draft. So Trey's got first pick this year. I got 2 and 3, and so on and so forth. Pay attention. We want to know who you think won. Also want to know your top 5 albums or top 10, whatever you want to share from 1996. And if you are to support us anyway, check out our Patreon link at the bottom or on the end screen. The patrons get to vote on our album listening parties that we do once a month, and we pick albums from these lists. So Trey, you got the first pick this year, and I didn't mind that. Sometimes I want the first pick. Sometimes there's that one standout album, and this might have been that for you, but I was all right with you having first pick.
Yeah, man. I'm going to go with one of my favorite groups of all time, the best hip-hop duo of all time, in my opinion, Big Boy, Andre 3000, Outkast, ATLiens, their second record. Organized Noise are on production right here, and it features some of their best songs, in my opinion. Elevators is fantastic. It was also featured in one of my favorite shows on TV, Atlanta. That's and hey, it fits, right? I mean, the Outkast from Atlanta. Two Dope Boys in a Cadillac is great. Babylon is fantastic. Really showcases Andre 3000's just masterful display of lyricism, man. And it has a bit of that spacey sound in production to show Outkast kind of going into the more alternative hip hop, especially here in the mid '90s, Dad, with your East Coast, West Coast,
right,
Outkast
exactly.
kind of carving out their own space right there. So they have topics from inner city life, introspectiveness, and being different than the rest of the hip-hop game at the time, man. So that is my number 1 pick. What are you choosing now, Dad?
Well, I'm going to have some out there albums for the rest of the 90s pretty much, and that's all right, guys. Some ones that aren't so popular. I'm going with Black Love by the Afghan Wigs. That's my top pick. 5th album, Greg Dooley had thought about producing a movie, and it didn't happen. This is kind of his soundtrack answer to that movie, and it plays out that way. It's kind of a whole listen, but Honky's Ladder, Going to Town are the standouts, but it's great overall. Dooley is just a master, man, at everything that he does. He's a great lyricist. So that's going to be number 1 for me. Number 2, a group that I have really, really come to enjoy through this journey of going through these album drafts. Suede.
Okay.
Or as you're going to find them if you're in the States on Spotify, the London Suede.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Whenever I try to listen to them, I'm like, what?
There's one little playlist of Suede, and then you got to look for the London Suede. And the album coming up, their 3rd album, first after the departure of Bernard Butler, nominated for the 97 Mercury Prize, producing the 2nd album to hit number 1, and their 5 top 10 singles off of this.
Wow.
Beautiful Ones, Trash, Saturday Night, Lazy, Film Star. Beautiful Ones is a standout for me, but the whole album is really fantastic. What is your number 2?
Man, I gotta check out, but I mean, I do like the Afghan Wigs and Suede. I didn't listen to them for this though, so you're giving me some homework.
There you go.
That's why we're
it's
here.
hard to listen to them all, guys.
Yeah, and so now I'm gonna go with an album that has kind of developed a cult following in the past decade from music message boards and whatnot. It's a Japanese kind of dream pop psychedelic group called Fishmans with their album and song Long Season. It is only one long suite that seamlessly goes kind of from one movement to the next. Again, has that element of dream pop psychedelic. Definitely one I'd recommend listening to in proper headphones. The producer, it was said, would his bleed from his eyes because he was staring at the computer for too long editing this thing.
Sounds like a little bit of urban legend, but it's
it was it's just it's kind of tough to describe because hey man, you just got to go and listen to it. And there's apparently a really great live version of this from their live record because they broke up I think a year after this happened. So yeah,
I think it's like 37 minutes. I listened to this.
It's short.
It would have been on my list as well.
And next up, we're gonna go a little Belle and Sebastian action. If you're feeling sinister, they released 2 records this year. Tiger Milk, their debut, which is also really good. But I like If You're Feeling Sinister a little more. A really cool album cover too. Just kind of got that vintage type of feel to it. Stuart Murdoch is a stellar songwriter right here, and that's on full display here. He blends that indie pop sound so well with a little bit of that kind of twee pop tinged voice. They only recorded this data in
That's
5
crazy.
days, 3 days to mix, so just a little over a week this thing was done. Stewart himself thinks it is their best record. The Stars of Track and Field, Get Me Away From Here, I'm Dying, and Like Dylan in the Movies are highlights for me off this cut.
Yeah, excellent album. We do have a reaction to that one up. Speaking of reactions that we have, I've got a reaction to this one up too. Expecting to Fly by the Blue Tones.
Okay.
Never even heard of them until our patron Ian brought them to me. I actually have another album of theirs up as well now, but their debut, it knocked What's the Story Morning Glory for number one. Now, just for 1 week, but highlights, there's a lot of highlights on here. Blue Tonic, Cut Some Rug, Slight Return is a great song and a parting gesture, but it's a very, very solid album overall. Now we'll go to my fourth pick, Trey. Another group that I really didn't know a lot about till we started this foray in these album drafts. I got the Manic Street Preachers.
Okay.
Everything Must Go. Their 4th studio album, went to 2 in the UK. First album after the disappearance of rhythm guitarist Richie Edwards. Won Best British Album at the Brit Awards. A Design for Life.
That's a great jam.
And Everything Must Go are the standouts, but once again, a tremendous album.
No, man, I like that. MSP are really, I mean, the Holy Bible's my favorite from them, but yeah, this is a really good album as well. And it's back to me, man, and I'm going to go back into the hip-hop world for my final 2 picks. We got the man himself, Tupac, All Eyes on Me, his 4th record, his last one to be released in his lifetime, and this is a long record.
It is.
At over 2 hours, filled with radio hits and bangers, as well as deeper cuts that find Pac, talking about everything under the sun, pretty much. You got some party hits in here. You got some more introspective type tunes, as Pac would like to do. And though not every song is maybe a hit, the production, I think, is just fun enough to make this seem like it's less than a 2-hour album, which normally it's the opposite for me. But it's certified diamond. It has #1 hits, I Ain't Mad at Ya, and of course California Love. Ambitions as a writer is one of my favorites. Can't See Me and Picture Me Rolling are awesome. Favorites as well. So iconic album cover to boot. And then we're going with another artist who could be on the short list for GOAT when you're talking rappers. Jay-Z's debut, Reasonable Doubt. This draws a lot from Jay's personal experience on the streets, drug dealing, kind of shifting into the musical world, and it has some great producers, Hall of Famers on here from Dame Dash, DJ Premier, among many others. Biggie's guest spot on Brooklyn's Finest is iconic, one of the best guest features you're ever going to hear. Can't Knock the Hustle, Dead Presidents 2 stood the test of time. Can I Live, I think one of Jay's most underrated tunes. And then 22 Twos show that Jay is fantastic as just a pure rapper. This is arguably, I think, his best record. I prefer The Blueprint, but after this, Jay kind of shifted to more of just making and curating hits, because he kind of saw the writing on the wall.
Sure.
You just write conscious type of stuff, you're not going to be at the top, and he chose to go down that path. So really good hip hop albums this year.
Well, my final choice is a guy that I have become a giant fan of. Didn't know much about him, and we did some top 10 lists for him. We did some stuff, but I didn't really know a lot about this guy. We got Murder Ballads by Nick Cave, or Nick Cave in the Bad Seeds. 9th studio album consists of new and traditional murder ballads. So yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. You have PJ Harvey, Shane MacGowan, and of course Kylie Minogue on the song Where the Wild Roses Grow. Death Is Not the End is outstanding. Most commercially successful album that he released. The MTV Music Awards wanted to nominate him and Kylie Minogue's duet, Where the Wild Roses Grow. And he turned it down. And he said why in an interview is because he's like, if that gets nominated and people see it, they're going to go buy the album thinking all the songs are going to sound like this, and they're going to hate it because none of the other songs sound like this. So he turned it down. Wow,
interesting. And then they're going to hear Stagger Lee, which is one of the most vulgar songs.
Vulgar song. I think it's the second song on the album, man. Yeah, it's unbelievable. So that's my top 5. Trey, we got some honorable mentions. We got Unchained from the great Johnny Cash. We got Tidal from Fiona Apple, who I know a lot of people will probably have on their list. Songs for a Blue Guitar by Red House Painters. Excellent album. I have a lot of their stuff on my list. We got Car Button Cloth from the Lemonheads, who topped one of my previous charts.
We got some Modest Mouse action. This is a long drive for someone with nothing to think about. The great Matchbox 20.
I had to put it on there.
Dude,
debut album.
I love that album, man. I really do. Stereo Lap, Emperor Tomato Ketchup.
An odd, I would say odd, but you got it. It's a different kind of album.
Aphex Twins, Richard D. James. That's my favorite from him. Beck, Odelay. I mentioned earlier Belle and Sebastian's debut, Tiger Milk. Another one with a lot of buzz. Great, just a production showcase. DJ Shadow's introducing Nas. It Was Written. That was a last-minute cut for me. Screaming Trees, the great Mark Lanigan with Dust.
Album.
I think it's highly, highly underrated. Sublime's debut, Swan soundtrack for the blind, UGK's Riding Dirty, and Wilco's Being There. So yeah, again, a lot of variety. I think overall this is a strong year just for my personal taste right here.
Yeah, it was a good year. Yeah, it was a really good year.
And, I think we've had a good mid-90s run. We'll see if that keeps up as we get to the close of the decade. But as my dad mentioned earlier, man, let us know your favorites of this year and who you think had the better stack of albums between us two. And we'll be back next week, man, as we get to 1997, the new millennium getting closer and closer in our sights. So I guess that'll wrap it up.
That's it.
So until next time, thanks for watching, happy listening, and we will see you.